if your division involves only one negative integer, if your division involves only one negative integer, okay, and the negative integer can be a numerator or a denominator. So you have only one negative integer, and if the negative integer is either numerator or denominator, then in that case the result of the division will contain a minus sign. Okay, it will have a minus sign. So suppose you have A is 6 and B is minus 2, or A is minus 6 and B is 2. If you do A divided by B, then you just treat them as a whole numbers, and it would be 6 divided by 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3, and since you have only one negative integer, that is in denominator, just put a minus sign here. And even in this case, if you do A divided by B, in this case if you divide A divided by B, then this will be, just treat A as whole number and B as whole number. So it's 6 divided by 2, the answer is 3. Since there is only one negative integer out of these two, so minus sign here. So you can see that A divided by B, in this case when A was positive and B was negative, and in this case A divided by B where A is negative and B is positive, the answer is, both the answers are same. This was point number 1. And point number 2 is that if there are two negative integers, then you'll not have a minus sign. No minus sign. So like if you have A as minus 6 and B as minus 2, so this will be, if you do A divided by B, then this will be minus 6 divided by minus 2. Just treat them as whole number, so 6 divided by 2 will be 3, and since there are two negative integers both in the numerator and the denominator, therefore there will be no minus sign. Here, and the answer will be just 3. Since it has two negative integers, this division has two negative integers, therefore there will be no minus sign. And the third point is, I mean, whether or not you have negative integer, or I mean whatever, if you are dividing two numbers, A divided by B, then always make sure, I'm repeating again, doesn't matter whether a given division has a negative integer or not. If you are dividing two integers or two numbers, natural numbers, whole numbers or integers, always make sure that B is never equal to 0. It should never be equal to 0. I mean, if you do, suppose A is 6 and B is 0, and if you do A divided by B, then this will be 6 divided by 0. Then the answer of this division will be not defined. You will say that this is not defined. So for your class or the standard in which you are studying in right now, I mean, we don't need to talk more about this not defined. you only have, because it's out of your scope. So just keep in mind that whenever you divide two numbers, you just have to keep in mind that your denominator, that is b, should not be equal to 0, because if the denominator will be equal to 0, your division will be the result of the division will be not defined.